What's going on, guys? Coach Tyler here. We are currently hanging out here in the training zone at the fitness center. Today we're going to be demonstrating a few basic exercises that you can do both here or even at home. So in case you're a little nervous to come into the gym, we want to give you something that you can take back with you. Today we've got a few helpers, the top 3 Twinsburg Fitness Center athletes. On our far left, we've got Zach. Next to him, we've got Miss India. Oh yeah. And then we've got Brittany Levins in the house. We're going to demonstrate a few exercises for you. All right, guys, for our first exercise, we're just going to do a basic body weight squat. We're going to give you 3 variations. The first one being a modified version, the second just being your standard squat, and the third being a little bit more advanced to challenge you a little bit more once you work up to that level. So if we're getting started, as you can see, India here is going to use a box to assist with the squat, so she can sit back and use that as a landmark for her. Notice how she's sitting her hips back nice and far, knees are staying out nice and wide, and explosion coming up. So using a box is a great way to make it a little bit easier, give you something to sit on if you need to help you as you come back up. And moving on down. So take it just one step further, just a basic body weight squat that Brittany's doing here. Same thing, just without the box. What that allows you to do is just get a little bit more depth with your squat. Again, as you can see, she's keeping her knees out wide, her weight's back in her heels, and she's using her arms to counteract that weight coming back. Ready for it, Brittany, look good. And if you're up for a big challenge, you want to get something a little bit more advanced, you're just going to add a little bit of a jump to it. We call it a pop squat. So as you can see, Zach's going to hop down and explode coming up. Even a little bit quicker, a little bit quicker. Boom. Perfect. So same movement, legs coming a little bit wider, and you're just adding a little bit of a jump to it. Nothing too crazy, but a great way to take it just a little step further and to make it more advanced. So that's our first exercise, the body weight squat. All right, for our second exercise, we're just going to perform a basic push-up. A couple of things to keep in mind as you're doing this. Keeping your core nice and tight through every movement. It's going to assist you as you're going down to the push-up. So for our first variation, India's going to do a modified push-up. The first modification you can do is off of your knees to make it a little bit easier. So she's going to come down, keep your head up, your elbows are in just slightly, core is tight the whole time. That's one modification you can do with your push-up. The second thing you can do, go ahead and come into a plank position, a straight arm, and instead of the push-up, you come into a shoulder tap, keeping that core tight as well, but you're also engaging that chest and working the shoulders as well. So that'd be your first modification. To take a step further from there, Brittany's going to show us or demonstrate a regular push-up. So feet are back. So you're going to try to go down as low as you can. Good. Notice how she's trying really hard. Go ahead and stop for Brittany. Notice how she's trying really hard not to dip her neck. That's a great practice. A lot of times, as we're getting tired, we start dipping our head a little bit. You can see how she's trying to be really mindful of keeping it nice and straight, core staying strong, body staying flat. Even if you can't go down all the way, that's all right. You're still going to work your way into being able to do that more comfortably. So great job, Brittany. But if you're up for even more of a challenge, the third variation is our plyometric push-up or a plyo push-up or your clap. As you can see, he's exploding out, giving a clap, controlling it on his way down. So once you get to a more advanced level, you're gonna do about 200 of these. We'll see how long you keep going. This will be the next step in your push-up variation. All right, guys, next up, we're gonna engage our core just a little bit. We're gonna demonstrate what's called a straight arm sit-up or crunch. So first things first, Indy's gonna show us the crunch version of this. Things to keep in mind as you're doing it, as you're crunching up, keep that core nice and tight, and then throughout your entire movement, staying nice and slow, control, slow, control. So notice how she's barely coming off the ground. That's gonna be the crunch variation of the sit-up. Don't worry about coming up nice and high. Just until your shoulders come off the ground, that's enough to engage that core, and that's a great starting point for this exercise. Make sure you keep the ball nice and high when you come up. There you go, perfect. Keeping those feet planted. So just the next step with that exercise coming over. So same movement, except this time we're coming all the way up, feet are planted, and then we're controlling it down nice and slow, perfect. Again, core's tight and engaged, ball's nice and high, and she's controlling it coming down. The slower you're moving, the more you're gonna keep that core contracted and keep it engaged the whole way coming down. So that looks great, great job. And then if you really want to make it more challenging, that's when you're gonna take it into our V-up with that ball. So again, nice and slow control, except this time feet are coming up, ball's coming up, you're meeting it right in the middle, controlling it down, great job. And again, this will be the advanced version of the same movement for those of you who want a little bit more of a challenge. All right guys, for our last exercise, again, just giving you a few basic exercises to do. The last thing we're gonna hit is the back of our body or our posterior. This exercise is called a Superman. We're gonna show you a modified variation, which is a bird dog, the basic version, and lastly, just a slight alternative to make it a little bit more challenging. So let's go ahead and get started here. So as you see, India, she's on all fours. Core's nice and tight, the body is nice and straight. You're gonna go opposite arm, opposite leg, extending out nice and far, engaging the glutes and the lower back as well as the shoulders as you're doing this. So control, body straight, looks great. So that's gonna be a great starting point for this exercise to work that lower back as well as those glutes a little bit. The next step from here, we're gonna move over to Brittany. The next step over is a basic Superman. You're gonna come up, nice and controlled, bringing those arms back, squeezing the lats, controlling it down. So we're coming out, squeezing that back, straight out, down. Notice how she's going nice and slow, controlled. That is perfect. It's the exact pace you want to do as you're doing this exercise. A few more. Perfect. So it's called Superman. It could be Superwoman. This is going to be the next step, or the basic version of this exercise. Now, a slight modification to this exercise. It's not too much harder, but it's going to make you think a little bit more and also engage your core in a little bit different of a way, is what we call a swimmer. Now, with a swimmer, it's the same as a Superman, except this time we're just going opposite arm, opposite leg, keeping it nice and straight. Notice that's a little bit harder to come off the ground with this one. You can try to come as high as you can. There you go. So opposite arm, opposite leg. Excellent. So this just allows you to work a slightly different part of your core, your lower back. Now exactly, we try to keep those legs nice and straight. There you go. Try to stay as straight as possible as you come up. Again, this is a slight variation of the Superman exercise and a great way to work your posterior. Thanks guys.
Woo, now that was a workout we had today. Tyler, Zach, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, where can we get some more information on these classes?
Sure. So these exercises might have been a great starting point, but your next step, when you come on into the Twinsburg Fitness Center, we've got classes, we've got personal training, we've got our fitness staff here to help you. There's so many different options, from yoga to Zumba to HIIT training to spinning. There's all kinds of classes. Whatever your preference is, we have something here for you. So your next step would be just come on in. We'd be happy to sit down and come up with a game plan for you to help you out, to give you whatever information you need. So come on out to the Fitness Center.
All right, and that's all we have for today, guys. It's been a great episode, so see you guys later.
See ya.
Bye.